All right, y'all, the Jeffrey Epstein war has completely and utterly spiraled out of control right in front of our eyes. Trump is caught in the midst of what's called an escalation trap right now. It's looking, seriously, like this is becoming World War III. I repeat, it is looking, seriously, like this is becoming World War III. So from now on, we'll be referring to Israel and the U.S. as the axis of Epstein, because that's what they are, the axis of Epstein. So you guys know the drill. Everybody do me a big favor, subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon. Also, support this show on Patreon, because this is real independent media. And of course, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack, because we got a lot to get to, and I don't want you missing any little piece of it. All right, here we go. Let's start with this. The Dow plunged 1,000 points as oil and gas prices surge after Iran orders the Strait of Hormuz closed. So this is a huge deal, y'all. Not only are there going to be, prices skyrocketing and supply shocks when it comes to oil and gas, it's also going to impact other aspects of the economy as well. This is stuff I guarantee you the Trump regime did not think about before doing this, because they're completely and utterly incompetent. They're devastatingly stupid. And so now we're all dealing with the fallout of that. All right. We also have this. New, the CIA has been working to arm Kurdish forces with the aim of fomenting a popular uprising in Iran. Multiple people familiar with the plan told CNN Iranian Kurdish opposition forces are expected to take part in a ground operation in western Iran in the coming days, and they expect the U.S. and Israeli support, a senior Iranian Kurdish official told CNN. So, ladies and gentlemen, they have been lying to us for months, perhaps a year, because they've been planning a ground invasion. They've been counting on a ground invasion. Now they're just now acting like, tee-hee-hee, maybe we'll do a ground invasion. No, they were planning it all along. They just never told us the truth. And by the way, not only is the entire Jeffrey Epstein war illegal, including just the airstrikes, but now you're going to do boots on the ground without any input from Congress? We are totally in uncharted territory here, y'all. This guy has to be impeached yesterday. All right, this is no longer a debate. This is no longer an open question. This is as black and white as it gets. If you can't impeach him, he's got to be hit by the 25th Amendment. This is ludicrous what we're looking at now. So ground invasion, 50,000 U.S. troops, where they go with the Kurds. By the way, to the Kurds, the U.S. has betrayed you literally 9 times. We have betrayed the Kurds 9 times in modern history. And now, again, you think, what, the 10th time's a charm? You think the U.S. won't betray you again? But clearly what they're trying to do here is make Iran a failed state. That's the idea. Balkanization, civil war. That's what Israel wants, because then Iran cannot be a regional player. They cannot push back against Israeli hegemony and dominance. And of course, Israel wants to create a greater Israel. Okay? So that's incredible, incredible reporting. How about this one? U.S. and Israeli strikes are deliberately targeting Kurdish regions of Iran. Border posts, police stations, military bases. They continuously go after targets that they shouldn't be going after. This isn't random. This is preparation. The CIA is already arming Kurdish forces for an uprising. Now airstrikes are clearing the path for thousands of Kurdish fighters from Iraq to pour into western Iran. They're engineering a civil war inside Iran. While Trump claims he forced Israel's hand, more on that later, by the way, and Colonel McGregor says our bases are destroyed, the U.S. is quietly opening a 4th front. This war is expanding by the hour. So as I said, this is becoming a world war very quickly. China is backing Iran. Russia is backing Iran. Now, a lot of U.S. European allies are sheepishly falling in line behind the axis of Epstein, the U.S. and Israel. But look at this. Look at this video here. And we'll get to the videos in a little bit of Tehran, man, but it genuinely looks apocalyptic what's being done to Tehran right now. Horrifying videos that we're going to see from a number of different places. All right, here we go. Now, this is Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal. He gets briefed by the Trump regime about what's going on. And listen to what he says here, because this should send a chill down your spine.
I just want to say I am more fearful than ever after this briefing that we may be putting boots on the ground, and that troops from the United States may be necessary to accomplish objectives that the administration seems to have. But I also am no more clear on what the priorities are going to be of the administration going forward, whether it is destroying the nuclear capacity of Iran, or simply the missiles, or regime change, for stopping terrorist activities. And I think the administration owes it to the American people to have briefings, not just for members of Congress, but for the American public.
The chaos is the point. They want Iran to be a failed state, Senator Blumenthal. That's the point. That's why it appears like they have absolutely no plan, and they seem really incompetent because they view it as, we just want death and destruction. That's the goal, and they're delivering death and destruction. But you heard him there. He said, I'm more fearful than ever that there's going to be boots on the ground. Like I said, they lied to us every step of the way. They were always planning boots on the ground. Trump said the other day, I don't have the yips around boots on the ground. You don't have the yips? Your whole fucking campaign, all you did was say, we're not going to go to war in the Middle East. I'm definitely not going to war in Iran. What Bush did was really stupid. We wasted $8 trillion. Why don't we rebuild our roads? Why don't we rebuild our hospitals? Now, here you are doing exactly what Bush did on steroids. All right. Now, this is crazy here because you want to talk about Orwellian? This is as Orwellian as it gets, where different MAGA hacks have different things that they're saying when it comes to this war, and they're trying to pretend, some of them are trying to pretend, this isn't even a war. They're doing the Russia trick. What did Russia say when they illegally and offensively invaded Ukraine? Oh, it's a special military operation, not a war. Okay? Orwellian word games to the max. Listen to what these MAGA idiots are doing.
And we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
I don't know if this is technically a war. We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it.
This isn't a war. We haven't declared war.
The Secretary of Defense, who calls himself the Secretary of War, said today this is a war.
We set the terms of this war, from start to finish.
Nobody should classify this as war. It is combat operations.
War is hell, and always will be.
Strategic strikes are not war.
Just absolutely astonishing. I did not know it was possible for the government to be so pathetic and low IQ. By the way, on the same topic in a sense, Marco Rubio, he came out there the other day and said, well, look, Israel was going to attack Iran. And so we knew that once Israel attacked Iran, then Iran would fire at our military bases. So we decided, I don't know, I guess we'll just follow Israel and we'll attack also. What he's admitting there is we are the beta, they are the alpha. We are the cuck, they are the leader, they are the bull. Okay? He's admitting it. He said it out loud because they thought, oh, this will be good to like sort of take pressure off us because we'll say, technically we didn't make the final decision. But no, immediately that became a massive scandal because mainstream media was even talking about it and going, wait a second, why does the president of the United States have to follow the prime minister of Israel? Aren't you the one that's in charge? Aren't they the satellite state? They're the vassal state and we're the boss? And so that created a big scandal, and then he tries to come out and clean it up. And if anything, he just lies brazenly and makes it worse.
Somebody asked me a question and said, did we go in because of Israel? And I said, you asked me that follow-up. And I said, no. I told you this had to happen anyway. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties.
So who's actually in charge? Who's actually in charge? It sounds like you just told us. Now, by the way, again, the regime went with this line thinking it would take pressure off them and like heat off them. Then they realized they just admitted to being total beta cucks and that Israel apparently runs the United States. And then Trump, when this blew up, Marco's original comment, he goes, actually, maybe I actually pushed them into it. They didn't push me into it. I actually pushed them into it. I've never been more certain that, of course, it was Israel that led the way here. It absolutely was. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. And an intelligent, functional government, a sovereign, independent government would have said to Israel, hey, how about you kick rocks, bitch? How about you don't illegally and offensively attack Iran? How about we stop you from doing that? How about we cut off your money and we cut off your weapons? How about we stand up to you? How about, oh, you want to do regime change? I can think of a country that could use a regime change, and it ain't Iran, motherfucker. I'm looking at him. Okay? But no, he would never do that because he's bought and owned. Not only is he bought and owned by the Israel lobby and Miriam Adelson, as we all know, taking over $100 million from these charlatans and these scumbags, he's also blackmailed. He's blackmailed by Jeffrey Epstein, who was Mossad. There's pictures and videos of him doing horrible things with underage girls, and they're probably holding it over his head because in the past, they tried to blackmail Bill Clinton with the Monica Lewinsky shit. Netanyahu himself did that. So understand the way that this thing works. We are in so deep here. The president is compromised. He's a blackmailed pedophile. He can be coerced, he can be extorted, and he certainly is right now. All right, the first 4 U.S. soldiers killed in the Jeffrey Epstein war. Here they are right here. These are their pictures. The one on the bottom left, bro, he's literally 20 years old. He's never known life without the United States being at war. His whole life, the U.S. was at war. 20 years old. And now he's dead. So as Matthew Ho points out, looks like the soldiers killed in Kuwait were reservists. Most Americans don't know that reservists and guardsmen make up large elements of U.S. forces overseas. Reservists and guardsmen made up 40% of the U.S. forces in the Afghan and Iraq wars. Remember that the 3 U.S. soldiers killed in Jordan in 2024 were reservists as well. The U.S. cannot field enough active duty soldiers to support its commitments overseas prior to the war. Sustaining a war with Iran will require a substantial call-up of reservists and National Guard. These 4 people should have had long lives with their families and been contributors to their communities. They should not have died in Kuwait. In other words, these people that are going to die, they don't want to do this shit. They're not even about this shit. They don't want to be on the motherfucking front lines. Nobody's like actually wanting to risk their life for this shit. So as many people have said, and I'll say it too, send Barron Trump. Why should Barron Trump not be there? If you guys believe in this war so deeply and it's so important, meanwhile, you can't even fucking explain why you're doing it. Right? But if it's so important, send Barron. I think every politician, I agree with Jesse Ventura, every politician should have to send at least one close family member there, every single one. And then you'll see they're, much less willing to wage war in that scenario when it directly affects them personally. But it doesn't affect them. It affects usually, people from lower income families and black and brown people. The Telegraph, this is a right-wing outlet, okay? A right-wing British outlet. They say this: Tehran is an apocalypse of hospitals in flames and children buried beneath rubble. Highways choke with those fleeing as others shelter with nowhere left to run. If this is what right-wing outlets are saying, man, it's already the case that there is, zero true public support for what's happening here. Okay? This is disturbing. The U.S. is giving Tehran the Gaza treatment. Only a few days ago, the U.S. political media establishment was shedding crocodile tears over Iranian protesters. Now, those protesters are being murdered, and they're saying nothing about it because the Axis of Epstein are the ones doing the murder. So disturbing. They've made a point, Israel has made a point of bombing the neighborhoods in Tehran that have the most opposition leaders and the most protesters. That proves they want a failed state. They want a failed state. They don't want a functioning Iran. They want to remove Iran from the equation so they can create a greater Israel and have total regional dominance and hegemony. Okay, here we go. Hard video to watch, but you have to see. They are doing to Tehran exactly what they did to Gaza.
What?
It's literally carpet bombing. This is murdering countless innocent men, women, and children. We'll get to death toll in a little bit too, by the way, because we're 4 days in, it's already colossal. Okay. Here we have Murtaza Hussein saying apocalyptic images coming from central Tehran. So you're about to see here, this really does look like, like somebody dropped a nuke or something, or this is like a zombie apocalypse. Take a look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Jesus Christ. Oh.
بشین بلند نشو شاید زخمی شده باش بشین شاید استخوان شکسته‌ای داشته باش بشین همون امدادی‌ها رسیدن الان
But guys, these are all innocent people. These are just regular people who work regular jobs. They have hopes and dreams and plans and family members and friends and lives and now they're just being murdered like they're nothing. That's what the Axis of Epstein is doing. That's how depraved they are. They are incapable of looking at these people like they're people. We know how Israelis feel about Palestinians. We know they look at them as subhuman, right? No, apparently it's like literally everybody in that region they look at. And you can tell it absolutely is. Israel absolutely is. Not only an apartheid state, but a settler colonial experiment. That's what it is. So you have motherfuckers from Poland saying, I'm indigenous to the Middle East and I'm going to kill everybody here in the Middle East who's been here for generations. That's what's happening. All right, more. Tehran is under massive strikes, reportedly by B-2 bombers. Watch with audio. It is horrific. So this right here, man, look, I'm going to just tell you again in advance, if you're queasy, don't watch it because the number of people who are being vaporized underneath these bombs as they drop is astounding. It's disturbing. But look at this. Oh. By the way, I don't know why this guy's laughing. I assume it's some sort of trauma response. It happens, I'm sure, in some percentage of people that you do something inappropriate like laugh. It's still disturbing either way. But guys, look at the power of these weapons. Oh. Oh. I have to say, I genuinely don't know how any politician can look at this and not immediately be screaming from the top of their lungs for impeachment or the 25th Amendment. Like, the people doing this are not fucking well mentally. They're not well mentally. This is literally Nazi shit. This is Fourth Reich shit. What they're doing here is beyond grotesque. It is the crime of all crimes. They know there's innocent men, women, and children underneath those bombs. They don't care. Guys, we need to impeach. We need to get this guy out of office. This is totally, totally insane. We should have never let it come this far, ever. You got to go all systems go. You got to get him out of there. I mean, look at what's happening to this world right in front of us. We're looking at the creation of the Fourth Reich. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at the axis of Epstein, doing genocides, casually, willy-nilly. And the whole time, fucking can't even explain themselves as to what exactly they're doing. God, bro. Oh my God. They weren't kidding when they said Tehran looks absolutely apocalyptic right now. All right, here's another one. More horrifying news out of Tehran as U.S.-Israeli strikes massacre 20 people at a cafe in Nulafar Square. Says an eyewitness, quote, "One of my friends was severed in half. I put him back together and placed him where he was. A piece of his brain was thrown here on the floor." This is what our government is doing with our money in our name. This is what they're doing. Meanwhile, they're kicking 18 million people off healthcare here. We have fucking crumbling roads and bridges here. Our country is struggling. Our economy is basically all gambling and OnlyFans and AI speculation. But no, sorry, we're going to take all the tax money and blow up more innocent people in Iran. So we also have this. This is kind of crazy. Bahrain is on fire. Shia majority rioting against the ruling regime. Again, did the administration ever consider the instability risk to U.S. allies with Shia populations? It doesn't seem that they did. So, Bahrain has our military bases. They're an ally of ours. Of course, Iran bombed those bases to a crisp. Now they're barbecued. It's over. They're done. Okay, most of our bases in the Middle East are totally gonzo now because Iran already wiped them out in the first 4 days, mind you. But Bahrain, the population was majority Shia. I think it still is, but not as much as it used to be. But there's many Shia in Bahrain. There's a ruling minority Sunni government, okay? They oppress the Shias. Well, now there's an uprising because the Shia population is going, we don't want you siding with the fucking Americans and the Israelis. We don't want you siding with the axis of Epstein. We want you siding with Iran. So then, now, there's fucking riots as a result of that. Watch this. Look at this. People throwing Molotov cocktails at, Bahrain police, it appears like. We'll talk about this in a second as well, but now you need Saudi Arabia is panicking and also entering the chat here. But this, and by the way, again, none of this was considered by the regime leading into this horrific decision to attack. None of it was considered whatsoever because they don't plan. They don't think about shit like this. But again, if ultimately the goal is death and destruction and a failed state in Iran anyway, like the point was to light the Middle East on fire. The point. But Donald Trump was so fucking stupid. He probably thought, this will go easy, just like Venezuela was, and I think I'll get a bump in my approval rating. Motherfucker, you're 38%. Now you're about to be a motherfucking 20-something percent. Okay? So, here's one video. Here's another one here. Again, all part of riots. Looks like throwing Molotov cocktails and rocks at the police in Bahrain. This is crazy. Just in, a submarine just attacked an Iranian ship off Sri Lanka's coast. 101 people missing, 78 injured. Sri Lanka, the Indian Ocean. This war just left the Middle East. China and Russia are already providing Iran satellite intelligence. U.S. bases destroyed. India now hosting American fallback ports. And now a submarine strike in Asian waters. This isn't a regional conflict anymore. This is a world war in slow motion. My only disagreement here is it's not in slow motion. This shit is in motherfucking fast motion. We're speed running a world war here. So look at this. By the way, I should point out, this Iranian ship was not in combat. I repeat, they were not in combat, and it was blown up. And by the way, Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Kegsbreath, went on to brag about that shit later in the day. That's what he did. Okay. As many predicted, Saudi ground forces have entered Bahrain to crush the uprising, as they did during the 2011 Bahrain uprising. So now you have the Saudis are having to scramble to try to protect their Gulf Arab neighbors from the Shia uprising that's currently happening. This is what we mean when we say this has completely and utterly spiraled out of control. You can see the Saudi forces entering here. I should also point out the Gulf Arab states are furious with the U.S. because they say, hey, you abandon us to just protect Israel. Like, you abandon us completely to just protect Israel. To which I respond to the Gulf Arab states, again, you didn't fucking know that you were going to be screwed. Everybody gets screwed by the West. Everybody does. Like, it's just astonishing. It fell for it again award times a fucking million. Of course you're going to get screwed by the West. All right. But again, I have more. Iranian human rights group says 1,097 Iranian civilians have been reported killed since Saturday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been 4 fucking days. 1,000 people in 4 days. So they say that at least 104 attacks happened, 85 incidents across 19 provinces in the past 24 hours of the Jeffrey Epstein war, resulting in 31 total casualties, civilian and military, since the conflict began. 1,097 civilians have been reported killed, including 181 children. We have our first number, official number for children dead from a human rights group, and they say 181 children are already dead. The Washington Post says Iran has notified UNESCO that U.S.-Israeli strikes have damaged 2 historical sites, Tehran's Grand Bazaar and Golistan Palace, a complex in the Iranian capital known as the Versailles of Persia. Okay? This place is fucking beautiful. This place is gorgeous. This place is historical. Okay? And what are they doing? They're attacking it. Why? Because you need to understand this. The Israelis function exactly like ISIS and exactly like the Nazis. They want to destroy history and rewrite it in their image. That's what they want to do. They are absolute fanatics. They are fundamentalist freaks. They are Zionist Jewish supremacists is what they are. That's what they are. And so this is on purpose. They did this in Gaza too. They did the same thing in fucking Gaza. This is what they do. And we have this thing in the US where people refuse to acknowledge the true nature of the Zionists. They refuse to acknowledge what this regime really is. In the same way Trump's trying to create the tech-native America and expand America, they're trying to create a greater Israel and expand. You put those two things together, it is the Fourth Reich. The axis of Epstein is trying to create the Fourth Reich. Okay, more. Breaking, per a source close to SEO. Donald Trump insisted the Iran war be named Operation Epic Fury so that when people searched Trump EP in search engines, autocorrect would suggest Trump Epic Fury instead of Trump Epstein. That story is totally fucking spot on. I believe that to my core. That is exactly like something Trump would do. But as I said, this shit is not going to work. Everybody's calling this the Jeffrey Epstein War or Operation Epstein Fury. Nobody's even referring to it as Operation Epic Fury. Okay? Nobody's doing that. And like I said, now we got the new term that I came up with last night of Israel and the U.S. together. That's the axis of Epstein. Everybody's going to be calling it that. It's over for you guys. We see through you. We know exactly what you are. And you'll be lucky if this ends with you in prison. You'll be lucky if it ends with you in prison. All right, huge news. Mojtaba Hosseini Khamenei, an Iranian politician, cleric, and eldest son of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been elected the next supreme leader of Iran under pressure from Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, according to Iran International. So Donald Trump and Netanyahu replaced Ayatollah Khamenei with Ayatollah Khamenei. But by the way, it gets worse. You ready for this? Because this guy is more hardline and more conservative than his dad. In other words, exactly what every single person who's against this war told you would happen is what's happening. I said it was either going to be replace the Ayatollah with somebody who's more hardline, or it's just Iran's going to be a failed state. There's going to be balkanization and a civil war. It looks like we're on track for both of those things to happen. Okay, we already are one for sure, where Ayatollah Khamenei replaces Ayatollah Khamenei and he's more hardline. I mean, this is what we're looking at here. It's just incredible. And when you ask them, hey, what's going on here? Like, what was your thinking? What was your process? What was the plan? Their reaction from the Trump regime is, plan? What are you talking about, plan? All right, this is crazy too. and it shows you how arrogant the West is. To understand the significance of Khomeini's assassination and why it's such a catastrophic blunder for the U.S., consider this. Iran has never had a martyred supreme leader. Khomeini died of a heart attack. For the leader of the Islamic Republic to be martyred by the great Satan, Israel, is 1,000% on brand. Furthermore, Khomeini was killed in Ramadan, the same month as Ali, the first imam of Shi'ism. He was also killed with his family, which Shia view as parallel to the martyrdom of Hussein and his family in Karbala. This takes Khomeini and the legitimacy of the Islamic Republic to record levels in the eyes of the Shia globally, and increasingly Sunnis. Trump made this incredible blunder because he obeyed Netanyahu and adopted the Israeli strategy of kill everyone and everything. So, in other words, they now legitimized this regime more than anything else ever could have. Because now it looks like Khomeini was like part of Shia prophecy coming true. Like, you fucking jackasses. Oh my God. It's just so incredible how pathetic they are. This is from the Financial Times. EU urges Ukraine to allow access to pipeline carrying Russian oil. Congratulations, Axis of Epstein. This is what you got now. All that work that was put in trying to isolate and alienate Russia and try to cut the world off from their economy with the sanctions and everything. And in one fell swoop, the EU's going, we need Russian oil. Please bring back the Russian oil. That's where we are now. This is how fucking stupid all that shit was. All right, this is terrifying. So the Israeli military issued an evacuation warning for Tehran residents. Tehran is fucking giant. Tehran's metro area has a population of 14 to 16 million people. Evacuate to where exactly? Calling it an evacuation warning while Israel bombs another civilian population is pure theater. So understand, again, this is exactly what they did to Gaza. Move from this place to that place because that place is the safe zone. Then they bomb you on the walk and they bomb you at the safe zone on top of bombing the original place. Okay? This is what they do. It's all like safety theater to pretend like, see, we're caring for the civilians we said to evacuate, and then we murdered them anyway. But look what they're doing here. Even if everybody listened, even if 14 to 16 million people listen, that's not a feasible thing. You can't just evacuate a city of 14 to 16 million people. All right, ready? Many Palestinians in Gaza were killed by the IDF while following Israel's evacuation orders. Many Palestinians died when Israel bombed the humanitarian safe zones Israel directed them to move to. And then you have plenty of examples here. Video captures Israeli strike on humanitarian zone in Gaza. They followed evacuation orders. An Israeli strike killed them the next day. And Israel told Palestinians to evacuate to southern Gaza and stepped up attacks there. So this is what they do. They are the most loathsome, dishonest, vile regime in existence. New, Israel has launched a ground invasion of Lebanon, marking a major escalation of the war in the Middle East. So understand that Israel has been bombing Lebanon whenever the hell they want, even though there's supposedly a fake ceasefire that's in effect. So that was already the case. But Hezbollah decided, after the Axis of Epstein attacked Iran, Hezbollah decided we're going to enter the chat and start attacking Israel, right? Then Israel does the crybaby thing. Oh! They violated the ceasefire that us little angels were perfectly abiding by. But then Israel goes, now we're going to invade southern Lebanon and steal it. And that's exactly what we're looking at here. They're doing a ground invasion of Lebanon, and they're trying to steal southern Lebanon. It's happening right in front of our eyes. This is what they do. The Greater Israel Plan is in full effect. As I warned you, and many other warned you, it's unfolding right in front of our eyes. Brian Krasenstein says, major breaking. Iran appears to have struck the port of Fujairah in the UAE, which allows vessels to bypass the Strait of Hormuz. Gasoline prices where he lives in Fort Myers were up nearly 35 cents yesterday. Oil up 7% this morning. I wouldn't be surprised to see $4 gas by next week. Holy shnikes. The Iran's IRGC general, Sardar Ibrahim Jabari, again says they have closed the Strait of Hormuz and that oil prices will soar to $200 a barrel. That would mean $7 per gallon gasoline on average in the U.S. Quote, we have closed the Strait of Hormuz. For now, oil prices are above $80 and will soon reach $200. Guys, understand, if we get to this level, that's a catastrophe. If we get to this level, you're talking about 1970 style Jimmy Carter level shit where like you got to ration the gas. They say, hey, if your license plate ends in an even number, you can only get gases these 3 days of the week. If it ends in an odd number, you can get it these other days of the week. That's where we're headed. This is where we're headed. Americans are not used to feeling any semblance of pain like this. Our pain tolerance is low. We are soft as Charmin, bro. That's what we are in this country. You give us just a tiny amount of pain, and we are going to cry uncle so motherfucking fast, it'll make your head spin. We're going to cry uncle so hard, Uncle Phil from The Fresh Prince is going to walk in the room, okay? Like, I'm telling you, and that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. Over 10 oil tankers have been hit after ignoring Iran's warning that the Strait of Hormuz is now a war zone. So they're making good on their promise. They're making good on their promise. By the way, Trump has said, oh, it's okay. We'll have U.S. soldiers escort you through there. Well, guess what? U.S. radar was blown up. So now, with our radar blown up, we're going in there blind. If somebody launches a missile, those U.S. soldiers are dying. And it literally appears like they're just going to sacrifice those soldiers for Jeffrey Epstein. They're going to sacrifice those soldiers for the axis of Epstein. That's what's happening here. All right, here we go. The fertilizer and therefore agriculture markets are heavily affected by the Strait of Hormuz. Share of global flows of fertilizer components. 44% of sulfur go through there, 31% of urea, 18% of ammonia, 15% of phosphates. Major commodity and agriculture shocks ahead. So like I said, this is not limited to oil and gas price shocks. It's not limited to that. It goes well beyond that. This will have reverberations through the entire world economy. We have the world's biggest idiots trying to manage this thing. Iranian drone hit the U.S. consulate in Dubai. Look at this video. Wow. Insane. By the way, our interceptors cost like $1 million a piece. Their drones, they're like kamikaze assassination drones, cost only like about 50,000 a piece. And so we need to fire multiple interceptors to get like one of their drones. And so like this is way more cost effective for them. Like it's kind of crazy to think about, but Iran has, in some ways, they genuinely have like a better plan than we do and a more cost effective strategy that lasts longer than ours does. It's kind of astonishing how stupid the U.S. military looks in retrospect, looking back at all this and how it's unfolding. All right. Now you're going to want to bang your head against the wall, potentially even lobotomize yourself after you hear this. But Netanyahu was on Fox News, and he actually said the following words.
It's like a truck, it's like a bus full of TNT, comes in at Mach 8 and slams right into a synagogue, okay? And right around there, 9 people murdered. So here's the difference between us. These mass murderers in Tehran, they target civilians. We in Israel and America target the mass terrorists. That's a nutshell of the difference. And we have to protect our world against these people.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, do I even have to say words to respond to this? Or is it just the fact that he uttered those words? Is it like did he just rip a hole in space-time by saying that? Did he just make it so that, again, it's insane for this man who's basically Satan. He's basically the new Hitler. For him to come out and be like, ha, can you imagine? They kill civilians, bro. Oh, do they? Is that what they do? Hey, I have a question. Who's the one who changed the global order and changed the international law structure and basically made it nothing to murder civilians? Which country opened up the door to say, hey, that's just how it is. That's just war. War is hell. This is what we do. Like, my brother, you just the day before, you said this. You killed about 180 elementary school girls while they were at school. About 180 of them, age 7 to 12. Guys, we'll talk about this in a little bit. They already have bombed 9 hospitals in Tehran. Already they've bombed 9 hospitals. It's day motherfucking 4 of the Jeffrey Epstein war. And can you believe these guys, bro? I'm the only one who's supposed to be allowed to commit a genocide, bro. Like, don't you understand that we count and they don't? Don't you understand that I'm me and we're us and we're special and they're bad and evil and wrong? This guy's he's a total psychopath. On some level, I think he's just like giggling inside as he says this. Like, watch what I can get away with here. Like, it's literally he's just slapping us around. It's his world. We're just living in it. He's like, watch what I can get away with. It's like he's trolling us. He's trolling us here. Unbelievable. Just unfucking believable what that man has the nerve to say. He's got literally the ICJ is like, you're doing genocide and you're a war criminal and you're under arrest. And he's like, you see these war crimes being committed, bro? You believe that, bro? What the fuck? What the fuck? All right. Breaking. Israel attacked the 88 council members while they were voting to choose the next supreme leader. Iran's Assembly of Experts building in Qom has been struck by airstrikes. The Assembly of Experts is a council of about 90 senior clerics that is tasked with electing Iran's new supreme leader. So, I haven't seen any other news on this. Like, are there any of these people that are dead now? I don't know. But as I told you, they do have that new supreme leader. But look, this is what they do, bro. This is what Israel does. The more we learn, the more you're going to want to take a shower and like leave the United States of America and or Israel and never come back. Like that's how bad it is. Scoop: a suspected Iranian drone attack hit the CIA station in Saudi Arabia in what would amount to a significant symbolic victory for the Islamic Republic as it lashes out at U.S. targets and personnel across the Middle East. So this is a giant deal. This is a giant deal because I genuinely don't think the U.S. knew that they had this level of intelligence. Like, oh, we know exactly where your CIA office is. We're going to be able to hit it. There's nothing you could do about it. We know exactly where your intelligence officials are staying in these hotels in Dubai and shit, and we're going to attack the exact floors where they're staying and kill them. So I still think, they say now, I believe 6 U.S. soldiers are dead. That's what they admit to. But I still think, Iran's saying we got like 500 or 600 U.S. soldiers. And so the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, and we're being lied to and we're being slow rolled. Because I know that the U.S. government is astonished at how much better the intelligence was. They drastically underestimated Iran. They mistook their ability to negotiate with weakness. They thought, oh, they're weak, which is why they're willing to negotiate. No, they're not. They actually genuinely just didn't want war. And you misread that, and now you're in awe that all of your motherfucking military bases across the Middle East are burnt to a motherfucking crisp. And airports are being attacked, and hotels are being attacked, and the CIA just got murked, and all that. Okay. Sorry to bother you in the middle of your Tuesday, but the poly market for a nuke detonating before June 30th is at 17%. 17%. This market is full of shameless insiders, so watch for the massive spike. So now, by the way, I do believe this was taken down. You guys can say whether or not that's true, but I heard David Sirota said that this was taken down. It was at 17%. Crystal told me she had seen it all the way up at 22%. Guys, I told you, Trump already tweeted something basically threatening the use of nukes without directly saying it. And I guarantee you that in the conversations that they're having behind the scenes, I guarantee you Trump has brought up the potential of using nukes. I guarantee you. This is how fucked we are. This is how disgusting the world is. This is how pathetic this is. We are in uncharted territory. We are being led by a total madman. A guy with dementia and early Alzheimer's who has the fate of the world in his hands. It's just, it's like we live in a bad sci-fi movie or something. That's what it is. That's what it's like. All right, as I said, now it's 9 hospitals. There's a girls' school, a women's basketball gym, the Red Crescent building, the main TV station, and residential blocks being carpet bombed by the axis of Epstein. All right, the New York Times just confirmed that Trump wanted a limited strike on Iran, but they say J.D. Vance pushed for large-scale attacks. Okay? So now, this is what the New York Times says. And J.D. Vance, of course, believes in absolutely nothing, right? As we know, we've all known that for a while. He's totally empty, totally vapid, just like RFK, just like Tulsi Gabbard, who pretended to be about the opposite of everything this Trump regime does. But one of the theories on this is that Susie Wiles, who wants Marco Rubio to be the next president after Trump, Susie Wiles is stabbing the knife in J.D. Vance and twisting because she agrees more with Marco on the policy. She's more hawkish, okay? And that's one of the theories, is like, we need to pin the blame for this war, which is already a massive catastrophe. We need to pin the blame on somebody. And so this could be Susie Wiles trying to pin the blame on J.D. Vance. That's one of the theories. The other theory is it could just be true. It could just be true. And that also wouldn't be surprising because these people believe in absolutely motherfucking nothing. Okay? But man, what a crazy situation that we're currently in. I have to share this with you as well. On March 3rd, Ecuador, this is from U.S. Southern Command, Southcom. On March 3rd, Ecuadorian U.S. military forces launched operations against designated terrorist organizations in Ecuador. The operations are a powerful example of the commitment of partners in Latin America and the Caribbean to combat the scourge of narco-terrorism. Okay, and they have the video of the helicopter taking off. And so, in simple terms, this is Trump declaring war on Ecuador. Now we're doing war in Ecuador too. So as Barry with the NED says, after the people of Ecuador voted to not allow American military bases in the country, Southcom is now conducting ground operations against narco-terrorists on behalf of the Mossad and CIA-backed cocaine-smuggling president, Noboa. At this point, it would be easier to list the countries that we are not at war with, because we appear to be at war with the majority of fucking countries on Earth right now. Like, genuinely, there's still a war going on for Venezuela, where Trump is stealing their oil and putting that money in a private bank account. They're trying to do Cuba next. They're saying next is Cuba, where he might do actual military strikes, threatening Greenland like crazy. Mexico as well, bombing Iran, bombing Yemen, bombing Somalia, bombing Nigeria, and now this Ecuador, one that nobody even fucking brought up. throughout the entire campaign or at any time during Trump's regime? Now, Ecuador. So now as World War III is popping off, they go, let's add another one. Let's just throw Ecuador in this bitch. No, okay, I'm sorry. Nobody has ever been more vindicated in human history ever than me when I warned everybody Trump is a massive fucking warmonger. At the same time, all these idiots were going, Kamala's a warmonger and Trump's the peace president. I was like, no, you fucking idiots. Look at his record in the first term. He's a way bigger warmonger than Kamala Harris. And here we are, and I'm waiting for my motherfucking apologies. Okay, I'm waiting for my motherfucking apologies. Because I wish I was wrong, but I wasn't even close to wrong. Not even close. Jesus Christ. Then there's this. So there's that new website that just popped up that tracks how much it costs, how much the Jeffrey Epstein war is costing. And right now it's over 2 billion actually, because this is old. This is outdated. It's IranCostTicker.com. So we're definitely over 2 billion by now. Look at this. This would come out to roughly $346 billion over a full year. With that, you could end homelessness, pass universal childcare, do paid family leave, do universal free school meals. And there would still be $150 to $200 billion left over. So understand something. When they do the, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to afford it? It's always total bullshit because none of them ever say it when it comes to launching our 8th motherfucking war. Okay? When it's war, they're like, make it rain on them hoes. We don't care. We don't care how you get the money. We don't care if you print the money. We don't care if you borrow it from China. Let's do some motherfucking war, bitch. This is how they think when it comes to war. But as soon as it's anything for you, for regular people, to make your life better, all of a sudden it's, we can't afford that, except we very, very clearly motherfucking can. Trump's talking about a $1.5 trillion military budget. Do you have any idea what that could accomplish in this country? Are you kidding me? Just to show you who we're dealing with here. Marco Rubio pleaded with news organizations to put the helpline number out for Americans stuck in the Middle East. But when you call the number, it tells you you're on your own. This is the Trump regime. This is who they are. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep your eye on the Jeffrey Epstein war. Keep your eye on the axis of Epstein continuing to carpet bomb Tehran and do terrorism. This thing, like I said, has totally and utterly spiraled out of control. And it is an epic disaster. And we need Democrats to stand up and impeach. We need that war powers resolution. We need Democrats to stand up and impeach or get the 25th Amendment. We need a full court press because we are already so far through the motherfucking looking glass. These people are genuinely creating the Fourth Reich right in front of our eyes. And we cannot allow it to happen. We cannot allow history to look at us as complicit. We just can't do it.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.